My name's Dominic McGovern, and this is my champion story. A lot of times it's hard for people to share their story, mainly because confidence in their story. When they tell you to tell your champion story, you either believe it or you don't. And the one thing I know about my story is I know it's a champion story. I was born in a family of 9 kids. I was the 6th born. We had 6 boys and 3 girls in our family. But growing up in a family of 9 kids was the best thing ever. The basis of how we built who we are as a family is my parents. My dad grew up in a family of 10 kids, and my mom grew up in a family of 7 kids. Them going through their families and going through financial troubles, the biggest thing that has made them who they were and what they built us off is, and they'll say it themselves, is God and faith. Growing up in Las Vegas, I played baseball, and I love baseball. My brothers taught me everything. We would play in the streets. Sports really built a foundation of competition. By competing with everybody else and playing baseball in my life, I was always the best athlete. I was always had a passion for playing, and it's what I love to do. And that's what you do as a little kid. You just really do what you love. After going through high school, I started playing football. I said I loved football, but I had more fun playing football, but I love baseball. So both sports I played all 4 years, top awards in both sports, and went on to play college baseball. In Taft College, I chose to play baseball simply because I asked the coach there the first day I visited, are you going to give me an opportunity to start? And that's all I knew I needed. So I went to Taft College. The big reason why I went there is because I would have got everything paid for at junior college. I had a place to sleep, a place to eat, and an opportunity to perform at what I love to do and reach potential. And I ended up performing at a high level. I had a lot of colleges looking at me after my first year, and that was my goal, to do 1 year in junior college and then go to a Division I college. I finished college and I came home, and I try to think back to it all the time, why I didn't continue to play baseball. There was never a moment where I was like, oh, I'm done. And then I had an opportunity where I went to University of Utah to do a workout for them for baseball, and one of our family friends knew a scout for the San Diego Padres. He emailed him, and that's when I got my opportunity to do a tryout for the San Diego Padres. So the biggest thing is you're deciding to really go to college, and then you're getting all these scholarships, but it doesn't feel like a scholarship in my type of family, because it says, oh, 50%, 30%, you're gonna pay $40,000 a year. And in my mind and my experience of my family having some debt and my parents only arguing for that and me creating a future for myself, I did not see the X, Y, and Z about taking loans out, trying to go for my passion. So I was like, go to college, get all this debt, or do this tryout for the San Diego Padres. So for probably 8 or 9 months, I prepared for this pro tryout. Ran light pole to light pole. I worked out in my dad's garage, did everything in my power to really get myself ready for that tryout. In that time frame, I built myself up, and then it was the day of the tryout. So my dad drove me to Peoria, Arizona. I was big and fast, but I also knew I didn't play any games in a while, and then I would just have one college friend or somebody go throw me fly balls, and I know I didn't have that game-like experience. So I went to the tryout, and I was the first batter of the whole tryout. Thank God this cage where you hit out of the hitting cage, you pull up, and the guy that steps on the mound, of course, is a guy wearing a DC hat and goggles, and he's checking. And of course they have the mile-per-hour gun behind, and he's warming up, and I'm like outside trying to time my hitting, and 93, 94, next one was 96, and I bat left-handed, and he throws left-handed, which a lefty on lefty, we hate. It feels like they're chucking right at your head every pitch. So I stepped in. I knew I was going to give everything I had. So it ended up being a long at bat. And my second swing of the at bat, I broke my wooden bat. So if you think of wood bats, like you get a wood bat, and I only had two bats. One that was just a regular like BP8 bat, and then the one that I went and bought. My dad bought me probably a $60 bat, but I was like, this is my bat, you know? So I broke the bat, grabbed the other one, got it in there, and fought off like a 10 pitch at bat, which is like a long at bat in baseball, especially when they're throwing that hard. And then I end up fighting it off, and then he ends up walking me. So I step out of there, I'm like, oh, got through it. And then they're like, no walks, get back in. They ended up getting back in, and I ended up striking out. Then I went to the outfield, and what I remember is, you know, the outfield's a lot of timing and, you know, going through it, you're putting a lot of pressure, your dad's looking at you, and outside the gate. And I knew I wanted to make one of my catches that I would make all the time. I knew we just got to find a way to stand out. And the guy, it's a line drive to center field, and the ball, and I start to take my first step forward, the ball rises, and I jump, and it tips off my glove and goes way back there, which in baseball is the most embarrassing thing that you can do. Running to get the ball as hard as I can and throw it in. And having one of those moments, especially in the, you know, most important moment of your life, you know, it's going to dictate your outcome. So it was pretty much defeat, but I ended up hitting a home run in the next batting practice. I ended up, you know, hitting one to left field and dove into second, like hustling, and did everything I could. But in sports, you know, your first impression is so important. The worst part about the whole thing that really probably defeated me when, you know, playing or seeing myself go to the pros is it got to the end and they call your name, and one of the guys' last name was Dominic. Who has a last name named Dominic? So they called Dominic, and I get all excited, and I walk up and they end up saying it's somebody else. So, you know, especially when your dad's there, you're trying to, you know, reach your dream. That was pretty defeating for me in that sense. But coming home, and everybody goes through this phase, especially after sports. You play from 5 years old all the way up till I was 21. It's probably almost 22 at that time, or I was 22. And I was like, how do I financially create a future that's going to be sustainable I want to have a big family like mine, and a coach is always replaceable, and a high school coach doesn't get paid anything. So I started this company, and I went to my cousin's. He made me a logo, and from that day forward, since I was 21 or 22, I have not stopped. Today I'm 32, and I've trained over 10,000 athletes and 110 teams. From that point forward, I started in the park. I said Tuesdays and Thursdays, come to the park. Of course, my family was there for me in every sense, and they were mainly my group fitness. From that point forward, I wanted to build my mission on this company and doing what I love. And I found that I had the same passion playing as I did training people. I've always had a big heart for helping people and seeing, you know, that leadership that I love to have playing the sport, and seeing people's dreams come true. Maybe because mine didn't come true, was addicting after that point. And one of the big first people that I trained that really made an impact was Laquan Phillips. Laquan Phillips played high school football with myself, and he went through an accident where he was paralyzed. And it was years after his being paralyzed, and he was walking again and living day-to-day life. But it was one day where I just ran into him at Town Square, and he said he wants to come train with me because he would see my Facebook posts, and I said, show up on Monday. So that day, I know he remembers, and he showed up on Monday. And at that point, my dad had a landscape company, and he would park his landscape trailer in the garage. And every morning my dad would leave at 7, and I would set up the garage, about $1,000 worth of equipment from like a Craigslist, set up the garage. He would leave, I'd set it up, and my clients would pull in at probably 7:30. And I probably trained like 3 people, but LaQuantum was a big one because I knew it would make a real big impact on him, first of all, and then my company, helping a paralyzed kid run again and play football again. I knew with his type of mindset and my work ethic and my passion, I knew we could do it. For a year and a half, I trained him, and I got him up to running and pulling a sled, and we even got him one day, which is hard for me to even believe now, but we got him running 2 miles. And I believe that day it was snowing in Las Vegas, which was crazy. But really building that fueled me even more. So I knew I wanted to build the business into a bigger sense, like I said, into something financially worth it. I didn't call it champion training at that time, but I created the process of think like a champion, work like a champion, and play like a champion. One of the biggest moments was I was doing my Facebook posts for the day, and I would just message a lot of teams, and there was a team that came in town that my brother's best friend played for called the Las Vegas Legends. It was an indoor soccer team. And the indoor soccer team, I saw him have that pro opportunity. He was on a magazine. He was playing in the New Orleans arena. And I knew I wanted to go for the biggest team. And in Las Vegas, there was no pro teams at that time. And me knowing I'm going to train the best, it'll give respect to any team that would want to train with me. So I Facebook messaged them. They messaged me back and said, meet me on a Tuesday. And I went in there and I faked it till I made it. I said, I have 10 teams. I have 45 clients. And I showed him the model, and through my passion, and I've always had confidence and passion. So be able to show that to him, he said, well, come on whatever day it was, I'll introduce you to the team. And he was worried about me training soccer players when I never played soccer, and I was 24 or 25, and they were like 28 to 32 year olds that played soccer all their lives. So I brought everything I got. I knew I was 24, so I was like, okay, what can I do to eliminate that weakness for them? So I went and got the best soccer coach that I knew, and that was one of my best friends, Ryan Barraza's dad, Ricky Barraza, and he was a coach for Green Valley, and always respected him and knew I could bring him in. And I knew instantly having a 45-year-old that knows the soccer game would instantly eliminate that. And then I brought in James Silvis, which was a motivational speaker, and we brought them in and had 30-year-olds yelling, I will be the champion, and holding hands, and really through our passion and how loud I was, and then the design of the workouts, they respected it. And then fast forward to the COVID year. We were at about 90% capacity, if that, or 100% capacity at that time. We had about 10 teams, 5 to 10 teams, lots of group fitness clients. It was just constantly more clients. We've trained CSN at that time for a few years, built it up where it was making, a good amount of money. month. And we were comfortable. We bought BMWs. And at that time, it was just, I was ready to buy the place next door. Because it was just like, there's like too many people in this place. It's ready for something more. And we could both feel that at that time. So I was about a month away from when it all happened, like March. And a month away, they say you have the right to get the place next door, because when you have this place and you're the tenant, you have the right to take it first before they offer it to the public. And I was like, crap, we should do this. So I was in the competition for that. I wanted to knock down the wall, and then the COVID hit. And luckily we didn't do that at that time, because after all that hard work for all the years, the best part about being an entrepreneur and having your own business is you know how much you need to pay, and the world's open to go get those people, and the world was not open anymore. And for me, my confidence was absolutely shot, because clients would go down, teams absolutely stopped everything. This place has energy in it because people are in it. And we thought it was going to be 2 weeks, so we painted the place, redid the floors and areas. I built a back area. I was like, yes, I could take advantage of this, and started doing online training. And then that ended up being a year, and then 2 years. I was doing online stuff. We were doing everything in our power to build it up, but you still got to pay $5,000 a month and have half your people. It was about 4 months of, savings and not very much money coming in. So if you lose any percentage in this type of business, you lose a lot. So really getting to the point, and I did everything I could, pushed as hard as I could, and wasn't able to, and I ended up dropping off my check one day, and then them calling me and saying the check bounced. And for me, this is the only thing that could really kill my confidence and get me depressed, and I won't show it, but I started dealing with it in the wrong ways, and I got my own place, and really was knowing I was doing everything I could. Couldn't explain why the business wasn't working to people, with somehow them knowing the circumstances, and trying to continue to help people around me that I could. And I literally pushed myself to the absolute edge of probably almost dying, probably 8 months ago. I could barely breathe. I didn't have the energy to get out of bed. I was calling people for help. My brother left the business at that time, and all I could say all the time was, I didn't do anything. It's not my fault. Because I absolutely was so fucking angry inside, it's not even funny. And I wasn't going to show it, and I was going to continue to do it, but just because nobody can look at your bank account actually dwindled down to negative. And then when you're in that type of situation, your bank account goes to negative, and then you feel like you're falling behind even more, and looking like you're stressed. I was falling asleep in the office. I was doing all types of things that would absolutely numb the pain of this place being closed and people calling me. But in that time, it was absolutely going back to the beginning, my faith. Every night I would pray, I would know the strength would be there, and it was up to pray my prayer of be strong and courageous, do not be terrified, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And I actually left this place one night, and I would leave. I would be so tired and dead that I left this place one night and I fell asleep at the gas station because I couldn't sleep at night. And I did what every guy does, calls his mama. I called my mama that night, and I was asleep in the car. They couldn't even open the door or wake me up because I was so out of it. And they took me home, and this was not even a year ago today, and absolutely off the foundation they built me on, picked me up off my butt, told me what I needed to do even when I didn't listen. And from every day since then, probably 400 days ago, which I've probably counted every single day, I have been on an absolute mission to bring what I call the champion back, Super Dom back. And I would tell people, just wait. And in that time frame, I was blessed with a girl named Maggie that came into my life, and even in the hardest time, I was not healthy, not showing myself. A girl like that was sent to me, by God, and was an angel, and really knew somehow how to deal with what I was going through, and saw who I was inside. And every single day she talked to me, fall asleep, wake up, and absolutely supported me to push me to where I am today. And absolutely crushes me to know how weak I was, but it absolutely fuels you to build what I've built now. So in these moments now, it's really freedom again, and building it up to where it is now, where I have more people than I did at the highest point before COVID. I am absolutely stronger and more energized in myself more than I have ever been. Going through something that hard is really what fuels me to know what a true champion is. And I might have known what perseverance is from before, getting 15 days to get out of this first place. No, I didn't know what perseverance was. True perseverance is when you're on your barely breathing deathbed and able to take one step forward and have somebody pick you up and somebody carry you each step to where you can stand by yourself and run with yourself and do what I'm doing now, or I'm leaving everybody behind in the dust. And I'm doing it the right way, by helping the youth, helping the city truly have character, truly act with confidence, truly act the right way as a strong human being. But mainly my fuel is really to build what parents built in me, what I've seen in athletes that are now in the pros and then the high school standing out. I know every single one of the kids that I've trained they know what a champion is. They know what character traits they've built, and they know what it takes to really persevere. So now, truly knowing what the mental side can do for you, I will work for 15 hours a day. I will do anything to absolutely not ever let that happen again. Walking in here every day, this place is still open, and it's not going to be closed again. And I'm going to help as many people as possible. Being a champion through everybody's eyes is guaranteed made by the perseverance, the struggle that they've been through. The faces you see after a kid learns something, the faces you see in people that make it, are people that are going to remember you. And I know everybody thinks about it. Who's going to be at your funeral? Who's going to know who you were? Everybody's going to know who Dominic McGovern is. And everybody's going to know he did something good in this world. This is I Am Champion.